Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau have met for the first time in the G7 summit after the latter's allegations against India. PM Modi has conducted bilateral meetings with leaders from several countries, including Italy, France and Japan. But his meeting with Trudeau remained limited to a courtesy handshake. Trudeau said he would not delve into the details of the conversation he had with PM Modi, citing the sensitivity of the case. Although, of course, he did say that India will be working together with Canada on some very important issues. Brian Thomas is joining us for more details on this story. Brian, what all was discussed when Narendra Modi met Justin Trudeau? What statements have been released by both sides, and what do we make of this handshake?
Amidst this very severe diplomatic strain between Canada and India over the very murder of the Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in British Columbia, now Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau met with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi during their courtesy interaction on the sidelines of the G7 summit. And following the very brief encounter, Trudeau stated that both countries are committed to working together to address some very important issues. And even the Prime Minister Narendra Modi also conducted bilateral meetings with several leaders. And however, yes, his interaction with Prime Minister Trudeau was limited to a courtesy exchange. And later also the Prime Minister posted a one-line update also mentioning his meeting with Trudeau at the G7 summit. The meeting took place against the very backdrop of Canada accusing Indian agents of this very involvement that happened. And Trudeau, when he was speaking also, refrained rather from divulging details of the conversation with Prime Minister Modi, emphasizing the need to address the sensitive issue collaboratively. And even the Canadian Prime Minister's office described the interaction as a brief discussion on the bilateral relationship, noting that Trudeau also congratulated Prime Minister Modi on his re-election. And even Clara Vallicourt, also who is the spokesperson of the Canadian Prime Minister, also acknowledged the significant issues between the two nations, but indicated no further statements would be made at this point of time. And despite the diplomatic tension, the primary connection from New Delhi remains Canada's perceived tolerance of pro-Khalistani elements, with India also urging Ottawa to take decisive actions against the factions. And, the Prime Minister also engaged in bilateral talks with several members of the G7 summit that happened. And talking about this very meeting, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, posted a one-line update mentioning his meeting at the summit.
All right, Robinder Sachdev, international affairs expert, also joins us. Robinder, interesting handshake, interesting conversation between Modi and Trudeau. What do you make of it?
Yeah, certainly. I would rather make something of the statement that Trudeau made, right? I think we would think that had he done this or adopted this kind of maturity in his public statements right at the onset, things would not have been where they are right now. Correct. He is the one, who opened the Pandora's box, so to say, by going public with, outlandish and statements like that. Had he maintained a certain, balance, and yes, there are often issues between countries which can be resolved and in which they cooperate, and in some they do not, and they compete also. So that is the mix of diplomacy and relations between any two nations. What he did was that he just went, just one side, and he has cornered himself in a way. And I think now he's realizing that he has cornered himself and letting, therefore, his public statements be, very toned down. So basically, as of now, it's that I would think that he has toned down. Now, the point is that what are the discussions going on in the background between India and Canada? I think for us is that clearly, as you mentioned, that Canada should stop, let's say, playing soft with the hardline extremist anti-India elements in Canada. Canada should also clamp down on the visas they give to asylum seekers who are particularly, falsely or whichever other ways claiming political persecution in India, especially of some of them who are linked to gangsters in India, who are wanted criminals in India. Canada should clamp down on that. And I think until we see a demonstration of that, till that point, India will perhaps keep cold shouldering Canada.
Absolutely.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.